Welcome back, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today we're diving deep into the exciting world of coins small in size, but potentially huge in value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, you want to stick around as we reveal the top 4 quarter-dollar United States of America coins. The year 1919 holds a special place in American numismatic history, particularly for collectors of the standing Liberty quarter dollar. The standing Liberty quarter, designed by Herman I. McNeil, was first introduced in late 1916 and quickly became one of the most elegant and symbolically rich coins ever produced by the United States Mint. The obverse depicts Lady Liberty standing confidently between two pillars, holding a shield in her left hand and an olive branch in her right hand, symbolizing both the readiness to defend the nation and the desire for peace. The reverse features a bold and graceful image of an eagle in flight, spreading its wings across the coin. By 1919, the United States was just emerging from World War I, and the standing Liberty design represented both strength and hope for peace in a world that had been torn apart by conflict. These coins were struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and while all of them are collectible, certain dates and mint marks from this series are extremely rare and can bring astonishing prices at auctions. When we talk about the most expensive 1919 quarter-dollar coin, we're almost certainly referring to a 1919 D standing Liberty quarter in top condition, preferably graded by one of the top grading services like PeaceGS or NGC. The Denver minted 1919 quarter carries the D mint mark, which can be found on the obverse to the left of the bottom of the date. It is considered a key date for the series, especially in mint state condition, because of its relatively low mintage and the difficulty of finding well-struck examples with full details. The total mintage of the 1919 D quarter was just 1,944,000 coins, which might sound like a lot, but it is a small number compared to many other dates in the series. Most of these coins entered circulation and were used heavily, which means finding an example that survived with little to no is a major challenge. Collectors are particularly interested in examples with full head designation, which means Lady Liberty's head shows complete details including the hairline, the eye, and the ear, something that is surprisingly hard to find because the design was often struck weekly at the Denver Mint. Auction records show that a top-graded 1919 D standing Liberty quarter with a full head designation can sell for enormous sums of money. In fact, examples graded MS 67 full head have fetched prices exceeding $200,000 at major auctions. The price continues to rise as collectors compete to own one of the finest known specimens. Even a coin graded a bit lower, such as MS 65 full head, can easily sell for tens of thousands of dollars. This is because advanced collectors in the standing Liberty quarter series aim to build what is known as a registry set, a complete collection of coins graded and registered with services like PeaceGS. When collectors are competing to have the highest graded registry set, they will pay premium prices to obtain coins that rank among the best-known examples. The 1919 D is one of the major roadblocks in completing a top-graded set, which is why its value is so strong and continues to climb. Another interesting aspect of the 1919 quarters is the difference in scarcity between the 3 mints. The Philadelphia mint struck over 11 million coins, making the 1919 with no mint mark far more common, though still valuable in higher grades. The San Francisco mint struck around 1.9 million coins, about the same as Denver, but they are generally more available in better condition. The Denver coins tend to have weaker strikes, which means collectors looking for full head examples face an even more difficult task. This scarcity, combined with strong demand, drives the Denver coin's price much higher than its Philadelphia or San Francisco counterparts. For example, a 1919 in mint state condition might bring a few $1,000s, but the 1919 D in the same grade might bring several times that amount, simply because there are so few of them available. When creating a 30-minute video on this topic, you can take your viewers on a journey through the history of the standing Liberty quarter, explaining why the design was introduced, what it represented to Americans in the post-World War I era, and how the coin changed slightly in 1917 from Type 1 to Type 2, with the addition of chainmail to Liberty's chest to address complaints about the original design. Then, focus on the year 1919, describing what was happening in the country economically and politically and why coin production was what it was that year. This historical context adds depth to your video and helps viewers understand why coins like the 1919D are so highly sought after. You can also explain what collectors mean by terms like full head and why strike quality is so important in determining the coin's value. Showing images of examples with and without full head designation would be a great way to visually educate your viewers. Finally, share some of the most recent auction results for the 1919 D quarter in different grades, from circulated examples that might be worth a few $100s to the finest known mint state full head examples that break records at auction. You might also talk about how condition, luster, strike, and eye appeal all play a role in determining a coin's grade and ultimately its price. End the video by giving tips for collectors who might want to add a 1919 quarter to their collection, advising them to buy the best example they can afford and to always purchase coins from reputable dealers or auctions. This not only makes the video educational, but also practical for viewers who might be inspired to start collecting standing Liberty quarters after watching. The next up, the 1920 United States quarter dollar, part of the iconic standing Liberty quarter series, hold a special place in the hearts of coin collectors, historians, and investors alike. This beautiful piece of American numismatic history is more than just a 25-cent coin. It is a snapshot of the post-World War I era, a period when America was experiencing social change, technological innovation, and economic growth. When you hold a 1920 quarter in your hand, you're not just holding a piece of silver. You're holding a piece of the Roaring '20s, an era that defined a generation. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the fascinating history of the 1920 standing Liberty quarter, discuss why it is so valuable, and reveal just how much some of these coins have sold for at auctions prices that will absolutely shock you. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's explore this incredible coin together. The standing Liberty quarter was first introduced in 1916, replacing the barber quarter design that had been in circulation since 1892. The new design, created by the sculptor Herman A. McNeil, was intended to represent a bolder, more modern image of the United States as it entered the 20th century. The obverse of the coin shows Lady Liberty standing proudly in the opening of a gate, holding a shield in her left hand and an olive branch in her right. This imagery is rich with symbolism. The shield represents America's readiness to defend itself, while the olive branch symbolizes peace. The reverse shows a majestic eagle in flight, emphasizing strength and freedom. This design was considered one of the most artistic and patriotic of its time, but it was also controversial. Early issues of the coin featured a partially bare-breasted Liberty, which some considered too risque for the time, leading to modifications in 1917 where her chest was covered with chainmail. By 1920, the coin's design had become a symbol of the new post-war America, balancing strength, peace, and morality. When we talk about the 1920 quarter dollar, we are actually looking at three possible mint marks: the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, the Denver Mint with a small d, and the San Francisco Mint with an S. Each of these coins has a different rarity level, and their values can vary dramatically depending on condition and strike quality. The Philadelphia Mint struck the largest number of quarters in 1920, over 27 million coins, making it the most common. The Denver and San Francisco Mint struck significantly fewer coins, and high-grade examples from these mints are much more challenging to find. What makes these coins truly special for collectors is not just their mint mark, but their condition. Quarters from this era were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, and they saw heavy use in circulation. As a result, most surviving examples show considerable wear, especially on the high points of Liberty's figure and the eagle's feathers. Finding one in pristine condition with sharp details is extremely rare and is what drives prices sky high. To truly appreciate why a 1920 quarter can sell for thousands of dollars today, we have to understand the concept of coin grading. Coin grading is the process of determining a coin's condition and assigning it a grade on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin that shows no flaws under magnification. Most 1920 quarters you might find in pocket change or from old collections will grade somewhere between good, G4, and very fine, VF20, where the details are worn but still recognizable. However, the coins that break records at auction are those graded mint state, MS 65 or higher, where every tiny detail of Liberty's robe and the eagle's feathers are crisp and fully struck. These coins look almost as if they were minted yesterday. Despite being over a century-old, auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions have sold some jaw-dropping examples of the 1920 standing Liberty quarter over the years. One of the most expensive sales involved the 1920s quarter graded MS 67 full head by PCGS, which sold for over $90,000. The term full head is a designation used by grading companies to indicate that Liberty's head on the coin is fully struck with all the helmet details visible. This is an extremely desirable attribute for standing Liberty quarters, and collectors will pay a premium for it. The reason this designation is so rare is because many of these coins were weakly struck, leaving Liberty's head flat and lacking detail. Finding one with a full head strike in near-perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack, and that's why collectors go crazy for them. But not all valuable 1920 quarters are high-grade, mint-state coins. There are also interesting varieties and errors that can fetch high prices. Some collectors look for double dies, where the design elements appear slightly doubled due to a mistake in the hubbing process of the mint. There are also off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly aligned when struck. These errors are rare and highly collectible, adding even more value to an already desirable coin. Even a heavily worn 1920 quarter can be worth significantly more than its silver content if it has a dramatic minting error or unusual variety. The 1920 standing Liberty quarter is not just a coin. It's a connection to history. When you think about it, every one of these coins passed through the hands of Americans who lived during the Jazz Age, a time of flappers, speakeasies, and the beginning of the automobile era. Imagine someone in 1920 using this very coin to buy a loaf of bread for 5 cents or a gallon of gasoline for around 25 cents. It's fascinating to think that a coin once used in everyday transactions could now be worth tens of thousands of dollars because of its condition, rarity, and historical significance for collectors who are interested in owning a 1920 quarter. The good news is that not every coin costs a fortune. You can still find circulated examples for a relatively affordable price, usually between $15 and $50, depending on their condition. This makes them an excellent starting point for new collectors. But if you're dreaming of owning one of those museum-quality gems, be prepared to spend a serious amount of money and to compete with other collectors who are just as passionate about these coins as you are before you rush to buy or sell a 1920 quarter. It's essential to have it authenticated and graded by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. This not only gives you peace of mind that the coin is genuine, but also helps establish its market value. Coins that are graded and encapsulated by these services generally sell for much higher prices than raw, ungraded coins because buyers trust the grade and authenticity. In conclusion, the 1920 United States quarter dollar is one of the most fascinating and collectible coins in American history. Its stunning design, historical context, and rarity make it a true treasure for numismatists. Whether you're a casual collector or a serious investor, this coin offers something for everyone. The most expensive examples remind us that sometimes the smallest objects can hold the greatest value. As you continue your numismatic journey, keep an eye out for these incredible pieces of history. You never know when you might come across one that could change your collection forever. The next up, the 1929 United States quarter dollar, is one of those fascinating coins that blend numismatic history, rarity, and collector excitement into one shining piece of silver. In this video, we are going to explore everything there is to know about the most expensive 1929 quarter dollar, from its background and minting details to why certain examples have sold for astonishing prices at auctions. By the end of this video, you'll understand what makes this coin so special, how to identify a valuable one, and why collectors are willing to pay thousands of dollars to add it to their collections. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the incredible story of the 1929 quarter dollar. The 1929 quarter is part of the Standing Liberty Quarter series, a design that was first introduced in 1916 and continued until 1930. Designed by Herman McNeil, this quarter is considered by many to be one of the most beautiful coins ever struck by the United States Mint. The obverse of the coin features Lady Liberty standing between two pillars, holding a shield in one hand and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing both protection and peace. On the reverse, you'll find a majestic eagle in flight, its wings spread wide across the coin. The design itself is full of symbolism, with Liberty's exposed figure representing freedom and purity, and the eagle representing the strength of the nation. By 1929, the Standing Liberty design had already gone through several modifications, including changes to Liberty's gown and the addition of 3 stars beneath the eagle, making the 1929 issue one of the more refined examples of this iconic design. What makes the 1929 quarter so captivating to collectors is not only its stunning design, but also its relative scarcity in high grades. In 1929, the United States Mint struck quarters at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest number, but Denver and San Francisco mintages were comparatively lower. The Denver Mint, in particular, is known for producing coins with slightly weaker strikes, which means finding a sharply struck 1929 D quarter in pristine condition is quite a challenge. The San Francisco Mint coins, identified by the small mint mark on the obverse near the bottom left of the date, are also highly desirable among collectors, especially in mint state condition with full head detail on Liberty. Now, let's talk about what really drives the value of the 1929 quarter dollar condition. Collectors place the highest premiums on coins that are graded in mint state, meaning they show no signs of circulation wear. The most coveted examples are those that are graded MS 66, MS 67, or even MS 68, which are considered near perfect. In addition, there is a special designation known as full head, which means that Liberty's head is fully struck with complete detail, including the hairline and facial features. Full head examples are significantly rarer and command huge premiums at auctions. For example, a common circulated 1929 quarter might be worth just a few dollars over its silver content, but a 1929 D quarter in MS 67 full head condition can sell for thousands of dollars, sometimes even over $10,000, depending on the demand and market conditions. One of the most expensive 1929 quarters ever sold was a 1929 Standing Liberty quarter graded MS 67 full head by Peace GS. This particular coin was sold at a major auction and fetched a record price because of its outstanding strike, brilliant luster, and near-perfect surfaces. Collectors and investors flock to coins like these because they represent the pinnacle of the series, a combination of rarity, historical significance, and absolute beauty. It's not just about owning a piece of silver. It's about owning a piece of American history in its most pristine and untouched form. Every time a record-setting coin sells, it reignites interest in the series and encourages other collectors to go hunting for their own treasures in addition to high-grade examples. There are also error coins and varieties from 1929 that can be worth a premium. Some coins may have striking errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet flaws, and these mistakes from the mint are often highly sought after by specialists. While these errors are rare, finding one can turn an ordinary coin into a highly valuable one. So if you happen to come across a 1929 quarter in your collection or pocket change, it's always a good idea to examine it closely or have it checked by a professional numismatist. The market for Standing Liberty quarters has remained strong over the years, with more collectors appreciating the artistry and historical significance of these coins. In recent years, online auctions and coin shows have made it easier than ever to buy, sell, and trade rare coins, which has pushed prices for key dates and top-grade coins even higher. The 1929 quarter, being one of the last few years of the series before the Washington quarter replaced it in 1932, has a special place in numismatic history. For many collectors, completing a full set of standing Liberty quarters, including the 1929 issues from all three mints, is a lifelong goal and a true badge of honor in the coin collecting community. So why should you care about the 1929 quarter? Beyond its potential monetary value, it's a coin that represents the spirit of the late 1920s, a time just before the Great Depression began. It captures the optim. The next up, a year 1930, was an interesting time in American history, a period marked by the Great Depression, uncertainty, and financial hardship for millions of Americans. Yet, in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, it was also a year that gave birth to one of the most remarkable and highly collectible coins ever produced, the 1930 Standing Liberty Quarter. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into this fascinating piece of history, exploring its design, its rarity, its variations, and why certain examples of the 1930 quarter dollar have sold for astonishing amounts of money at auctions. If you're a collector, an investor, or simply a history enthusiast, this video will take you through a journey where we blend art, economics, and American culture to understand why a simple 25-cent piece from 1930 can be worth thousands of dollars in today's market. The 1930 quarter is part of the iconic Standing Liberty Quarter series, which was struck between 1916 and 1930. This coin series is beloved by collectors not just for its historical significance, but also for its stunning design by Herman M. McNeil. The obverse features Lady Liberty standing tall, holding a shield in one hand and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing America's readiness to defend itself, but also its desire for peace. The reverse showcases an eagle in flight, a beautiful representation of freedom and strength. The 1930 quarter was the last year this design was ever minted, which automatically makes it special. The following year, the Washington quarter was introduced to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. This transition marked the end of an era, which means the 1930 Standing Liberty Quarter holds a special place in American numismatic history as the series finale when it comes to rarity. The 1930 quarter was struck at two locations, Philadelphia and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 5.6 million quarters that year, while the San Francisco Mint produced just over 1.5 million. On the surface, these numbers might make it seem like this is not a particularly rare coin, but rarity in numismatics is not just about mintage numbers, it's about survival rates, condition, and collector demand. The 1930 quarter was released right in the middle of the Great Depression, when people were hoarding coins and circulating them heavily. As a result, most of the 1930 quarters that survived show significant wear, with Liberty's details worn down, the date faint, and the eagle's feathers barely visible. Finding one in high grade, especially in uncirculated or mint state condition, is exceptionally difficult. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1930 quarter is that it is known for producing some incredible high-grade examples that have crossed the auction block for breathtaking amounts of money. For instance, a 1930 Standing Liberty quarter graded MS 67 Plus by PCGS, with full head details, has sold for more than $18,000 at auction. Full head is a term collectors use to describe coins where the fine details of Liberty's head, including the helmet, are completely visible and sharply struck. These coins are the cream of the crop, the ones that serious collectors fight over when they appear on the market. And this is where the price truly skyrockets. The difference between a 1930 quarter in MS-65 and one in MS-67 with full head details can be several $1,000s. Simply because of the rarity of a perfectly struck example, we also have to talk about eye appeal, which plays a huge role in determining the value of any coin. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that have attractive toning, sharp strike, and luster that makes the coin look as if it just left the mint. Some 1930 quarters display beautiful rainbow, toning, or golden patina that adds a unique character to the coin. These factors, combined with high grade and full head designation, can push prices to record-breaking levels. It is not uncommon to see bidding wars break out during auctions for the best examples, which is why the market value keeps climbing. But beyond the numbers, there is a story to tell here. The 1930 quarter represents the very last time the United States would use the standing Liberty design, a design that many collectors argue is one of the most beautiful ever produced on a circulating American coin. It was a reflection of a changing nation the Roaring '20s had just ended. The country was entering a difficult economic period, and yet the quarter still carried this bold, elegant image of liberty standing strong. Owning a 1930 quarter, especially in pristine condition, is like holding a piece of that history in your hands. Throughout this video, we explore not just the coin itself, but the historical backdrop against which it was minted. The early 1930s were a time when a quarter had significant purchasing power. It could buy you a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, or even a ticket to the movie theater. Imagine the number of hands a single quarter would pass through during that time, how many stories it would have been a part of, and then imagine one surviving almost a century later in flawless condition. That rarity and survival story are what make the most expensive 1930 quarter dollars so desirable and collectible today. For collectors watching this video, my advice is to pay close attention to grading. If you're looking to add a 1930 quarter to your collection, make sure to look for coins certified by reputable grading services like PCGSO.